Hey everyone, it is Adam. You guys know that when there is a little bit before the music, it usually means it's going to be a disclaimer or an apology or something like that. And those of you who listened to episode 100 will, I'm sure, fondly remember the bit where Sam spoke about how happy he was that the first time somebody messed up with their mic and recorded on their laptop, it was me and not him. So you'd think that would play on my mind a bit, and I'd be sure to double check my microphone before we record any podcast. You'd think that. I've been an idiot. No excuses. I rushed my setup, and I have indeed recorded on my laptop mic. So what you're about to hear is a good episode. I think it was a lot of fun and a good review, but I sound slightly different from all the other guys. Now, most of you will probably say, no big deal, don't worry about it. It still sounds good, but you'll just notice that I sound slightly echoey. Sorry about that. I hope you still enjoy the episode, and if you don't like it, don't tell us.
That is the hardest part of that ring. Well, the hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode number 101 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. And I've just realised I missed my opportunity to just totally mix up the intro and do something new for the second 100. But
yeah, like you could do something like, welcome to the podcast where three friends get together to discuss the wonder of professional wrestling.
Well, that is very true because... we're basically all on a massive come down from the huge party that was episode 100. Everybody who's listened to that, obviously, you can hear that we had a very lovely time. As soon as we turned the mics off, we all necked that brandy that I brought along. Brett ate the cabbage all in one. Sam was chowing down on the ham. It was an incredible time. No, we actually all just went home. But
yeah.
For those of you who can't recognise voices, I should say that my name is Adam and I am here. Sam is here.
Heyo.
Brett is here.
Yes, I'm here.
And John, Mr. 95%. I can't work out his percentage now, but he's decided to miss out on the first podcast after the 100.
He's heading to my level.
He said, well, he's actually heading to Italy, isn't he?
Yes, true.
Which some people would say is a dangerous thing to do. Other people would say, what are you talking about? It's a huge country. Not everybody's ill. Don't tar a whole nation with the same brush. Go, it'll be fine. Just wash your hands. Sam, which side do you err on?
Probably stay in your house. Don't go outside. Stock up on food. Buy a gun. Buy nunchucks. Get a mask. Spray paint as well. You never know when you need to spray paint a compass because you need to know where north is. One of those metal drinking bottles because that's what everyone has in the apocalypse.
Do you know what I also saw on Instagram? Obviously it was like an advert thinking about the apocalypse, but it was like two little metal sticks that like just create a fire.
Oh, that's clever.
Because on all these things, like people are trying to with the little bit of wood and spinning it, and just get something like that on your keychain, fire whenever you need it. I was like, I might get
really
one
clever.
of them when the apocalypse comes.
Well, it's probably a good idea to order one before the apocalypse comes.
Well,
Brett.
yeah, no, exactly. But then you'd have to actually be one of those people that thinks it's coming.
I mean, if you go by BBC News, the apocalypse is already here.
Very true. I want one of those, so I'm going to make that known now. When we get around to Secret Santa for Christmas, the Christmas pod, get me one of those metal sticks that makes fire.
In fact, me too.
Is it
So
just
that's
a lighter?
three of them.
No, literally, it's like obviously it's got some sort of
I think I know what you mean.
engraving on it to create the sparks every time. No,
Is it
because a lighter would run out of fuel, wouldn't it?
Of course.
But like, is it like flint and steel or something? Because like that wood kind of spinning thing works off friction, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it is like it's a little friction sparker.
Brilliant.
Cool. Not wrestling, but
That's all right. I think anybody who listened to episode 100 will know we're very capable of not talking about wrestling for quite a while. But
anyone who's listened to any of our episodes will know that.
That was genuinely loads of fun, wasn't it, to do?
It was. It really was.
Yeah, it was great to get together. Really fun just to go just to reminisce, really. I've really got to give you a massive shout out, Brett, as well, for the artwork. So cool. When you sent that through, I was so chuffed. It's so cool. You said the idea and I was like, oh God, is this going to look good? I was slightly worried because I just think, you might draw it that it won't look like any of us, but I just think it looks great.
I initially was like going to do the shirts off muscle thing, but then I thought, no, I'm just going to do the pose, but with us.
Yeah, and it's the outfits we were wearing for the live show, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I saw my Papa Shango t-shirt. Nobody else would see it, but I noticed the lettering.
You were incredibly generous with my belly. I'm very happy with that.
That's true. But yeah, thank you everybody who got involved in that, who sent us messages for the pod, and everybody who sent us messages since congratulating us or saying they enjoyed the episode. And massive thanks as well to Scroobius Pip, Sam Duckworth, Matt Richards and Josh from Riptide for the lovely messages. They were really cool to include those. This podcast, our first podcast of the second 100 episodes of Hardest Part of the Ring, is going to be a review. Although, Brett, just before we started recording, you said that this should have been a different type of episode.
Yeah, well, being 101, we should have done a room 101 and put a few, I don't know, wrestlers or gimmicks or something into the purgatory, I guess.
Shall we do a very quick room 101?
Yeah, go on, Sam. Who do you want to put into Wrestling Room 101?
Baron Corp. No, Fight Forever. I want to put the Fight Forever chant into room 101.
Oh, well, that's going to come up later. I like it. Okay, but that's fine.
It's a be careful what you wish for thing, though.
Yeah,
that's very true. Actually, if it actually happened, Brett, have you got something? Quickly?
Yeah, I'm going big.
Ooh,
Vince McMahon.
Oh,
the
massive.
correct answer.
Bang, straight in purgatory, leaving WWE to do good stuff again.
I don't think I can beat that.
The way you said that, I heard it as like Vince McMahon has done his work at WWE and now he's leaving to do good stuff elsewhere, like at the XFL.
No. Yeah, the XFL.
Actually, I think I might go for the first 5 minutes of most wrestling matches. Because I just realised how often when we're watching these pay-per-views to review them, a match starts and I'm like, come on. Come on. Got another 3 hours left. Let's just get to the good stuff. But yeah, anyway, this isn't a Room 101 style thing. It's a pay-per-view review and it's going to be AEW Revolution. It's a bit later than our usual reviews, but I think you can forgive us that because of the episode 100 stuff. Hopefully as well, it's going to be a little bit more streamlined because we've all had busy weeks. So we're hoping to make this a fairly quick one. Going off the intro though, I'm not sure how that's going to work out for us. But let's have a quick break and come back and talk about AEW.
Oh, good Lord. Emerald Frozen Lord. On the apron. He is a bad, bad boy.
And ladies and gentlemen, that apron is not to play with. It's not to be trifled with or wrestled on.
AEW Revolution 2020 happened at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. Attendance unknown as per usual, but it was sold out. It did look pretty full. Looked great, in fact. You're a fan of the Wintrust, Sam, are you?
I've done some work for the Wintrust Arena before. I've filled it with graphics for boxing, which is, wrestling's special cousin.
Okay. Special, yeah. I think, yeah, wrestling is boxing's special cousin.
Well, that's a perspective, definitely.
Yeah. We had the comms team of JR, Excalibur, and Tony Schiavone.
Hey, nice.
Oh, I did it.
Yeah.
Sam, what was the card?
All right, so do we want to include dark matches?
Yeah.
Well, then I need to get the dark matches up. We had Evil Luna and Grayson. We had the Dark Order versus SCU. We had Riho and Yuko Sakazaki, I think, versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Penelope Ford. So those were kind of like your pre-show or dark matches or whatever we're calling them.
Okay, and the rest of the card?
Main card, we had Jake Hager making his debut versus Dustin Rhodes. We had Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. We had a tag team title match, Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page versus the Bucks. We then had the women's title match, Nyla Rose defending against Chris Statlander. We had a hell of a grudge match in MJF versus Cody Rhodes. We then had an even bigger grudge match of Pac versus freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. And then your main event, we had the AEW World Title match, Jericho versus Jon Moxley.
Wonderful. And we're going to talk about some key matches and then do the usual best of the rest, worst of the rest, star performer, and give the pay-per-view a rank out of 10. So key matches, we're going to do them chronologically, the 3 biggest matches we think, and we're going to start off with the tag team match, then we're going to do MJF, Cody, and then Mox and Jericho. So the tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship, it was, in my notes I wrote quite a lot, Ken and Ad versus,
I like that, Ken and Ad.
the Young Bucks. Yeah, it's just a quicker way when you're writing notes really quick.
But then you didn't remove the word young from the Young Bucks.
No, that's true. You're right. I could have written Bucks, couldn't I? Anyway, what do we think? I mean...
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Do you still hate the Bucks?
I'm not sure anymore, Sam. This match and everything that they've been doing over the last few weeks or months, really, this whole feud, this whole storyline, the fact that they've been sort of leaning towards the heel tendencies, the way that Matt was throughout this match...
Oh my God.
I think I might be becoming a Young Bucks fan, but
yeah.
the stubbornness in me doesn't want to fully commit.
Yeah, Adam.
Even, right, watching this and also other stuff, their other stuff recently, like, Nick, does he factor into probably one of the best wrestlers, even though he's in a tag team? He is awesome.
That bit where he jumps out of the ring and does the moonsault with no break.
Fast,
he had so many... sequences and he was taking on the 2 guys for a while, and he is so smooth and slick with everything he hits as well,
his kicks,
he has to be up there as one of the best, and that's no shade on Matt Jackson at all, because he's awesome, so don't get me wrong there, but
what you're saying,
if he was
a
singles competitor, he could be one of the best.
What you're saying is that Matt Jackson is the Matt Hardy of that tag team.
It's a Matt thing.
Man, they are both incredible. I actually think Matt is I think he's got a better overall character. I think he's a lot more defined as kind of like personality and sort of being the leader of the group. But Nick's explosive speed and just their timing and I know it's going to be a shorter pod, but can we just make 40 minutes of just like waxing lyrical about the Bucks?
You should do a little spin-off pod for that. You can do an extra bonus episode after we're in bed. But yeah, I think it's because this feud has offered something different. Because if you think at the start of AEW, when I had my biggest problems, is when they were having all those matches with the Lucha Brothers, and they were literally just big spot fests. And I know you guys love them, I know most people did, and they had positives, but this just had so many layers.
Did you even see the match? I guess it's like a few weeks old now in Dynamite, where it was this 4 against the Lucha Brothers and was it the Butcher and Blade?
No, I didn't watch that episode. I read about it.
You have to watch that. That was just obscene. And I guess you could say it was a bit of a spot fest, but it was just like 100 miles an hour all the way along.
Yeah, they are incredible. I really want to say as well, Adam Page, holy shit.
He is so over, isn't he?
He is rightfully so, though. He is absolutely killing it at the moment.
Oh yeah, bringing out the Marty's villain stuff in this, and then hitting the One-Winged Angel as well.
He is
amazing.
Going to go on to huge things, I think. Like, you can see him kind of working his way towards that heel area. The crowd is so behind him at the moment. It's giving me kind of memories of when Becky Lynch turned. And that's, no small praise at all, considering how massively over she was.
Just think this match was just booked beautifully, and the whole feud, like watching the VTs, and I think throughout the night they did a great job of sort of showing backgrounds and really portraying how well they've been booking these matches. But the biggest thing for me, obviously, and there's loads of stuff that happened within the match and various moves and things that were amazing. But everybody was kind of expecting the implosion to happen. Yeah. Weren't they? They were expecting the turn. They were expecting Hangman to do his thing. And the fact that it was teased, you were like, okay, it's fine. And then when the buckshot lariat, when he holds the ropes and then he's like, oh no, Kenny turns. And you rarely see that kind of thing. And it's the right decision, isn't it? Prolong it. Why not prolong it?
That's it. Play the long game. Yeah. Which is what they've been doing. When I saw initially, because I'd read it, that Kenny Omega and Hangman had like won the belts as a tag team. I was like really annoyed with AEW because I was like, you're just doing what WWE do. You're sticking two guys together. I know they're part of the elite, but like they were talking about tag team wrestling. They brought all these great tag teams in, and then you've put it on two singles wrestlers.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why are you doing it? But obviously the storyline, the elite, it works. And also, obviously Kenny Omega, awesome wrestler. Hangman Adam Page, definitely getting up there to being, you know, awesome. But as a tag team, they had so many moves stick that they sort of fit in with the Young Bucks stuff as well.
Yeah. They've definitely got like a lot of symmetry, a lot of kind of chemistry, and obviously a lot of that comes from their days in New Japan, where obviously like whenever you're not the main event, you're on the undercard doing these 3-6-man tags, all of that. So, you know, kind of like they are going to know each other really well. That was actually something else I noticed about the event, which I kind of really appreciated, was kind of all of the talking about New Japan as well, kind of acknowledging, hey, it existed. These guys were all part of the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing to watch a wrestling event and think like, wow, there's other wrestling out there. Like,
not having to change their names to pretend that they didn't wrestle before.
Exactly.
It's refreshing, isn't it, to watch? It really is. I loved all the stuff at the start when Kenny was, you know, Paige was wanting to do stuff out of the ring and do stuff with the tables and things like that, and Kenny's keeping him in, trying to just keep him calm, and all the facial expressions everybody was putting was great. But just going back to Matt and all the stuff he was doing, what the spitting, and then later on in the match taking the tape off Kenny's shoulders, and then sort of slowly thinking, "Oh, what am I doing here?" It was just so, and like all four of them played their part perfectly in this match, and it was just so good.
Also, like the fact that there was like a feud beginning between like Matt and Hangman in this as well. Like in that match, they just started playing out like, you know, they were going for each other rather than.
See, that was it. Like my favourite part of the match was when Hangman chucked Nick into the corner. Like, tag out, bringing Matt. Just excellent storytelling and a fantastic match as well.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And obviously very excited to see, you know, when the turn comes, it will be absolutely massive. Exciting times. In fact, you know, one of the things that they said about MJF Cody is that perhaps some people have said that they maybe did the MJF turn slightly too soon, and maybe they're learning from that. I'm not saying that's been bad, but maybe they're like, well, this is hot, let's keep it going for a bit longer.
Let's move on to MJF, Cody.
Yes, what a segue. Our second key match will be MJF with Wardlow against Cody with Arn Anderson and Brandy Rhodes. Still a big fan of Cody's big old entrance with everybody coming out in their tracksuits. What do you think, Sam?
I was going to say, I think I could take Cody in a First Blood match.
What do you think about his tattoo?
Yes, okay.
Oh my days, it's bad, isn't it?
I've seen worse.
That's true.
I just love the fact that he had the simple dream on his chest. I think it was a good look, and the bleached hair, that is quite, you know, that really sticks out, doesn't it, that neck tattoo?
Going for the neck as well, like all that space, and he just went, no, I want this on my neck.
I know. I mean, it might look cool when he's suited and booted, just a little tattoo sort of peeping out. I think that'll look all right, but not a huge fan. I think we can all agree Cody has been absolutely faultless during his time, though, on AEW in general. All of the stuff leading up to this. No?
Faultless?
Not very good at landing on his head, obviously. On a round,
I was going to say, like, I don't... I said this when we first watched AEW and he had that bloodbath with Dustin, which is like, I don't need every match of his to be a complete, like, blade fest. And we're nearly a year down the line, and it does seem to be, like, his specialty.
Although, to be fair, like, the landing on the face thing wasn't so much blading.
Well,
I mean, we can't say it might not have come later on in the match.
Conspiracy Andrews here still thinks he meant to do it.
Yeah,
he meant to land.
Exactly. But, I mean, well, okay, maybe not completely faultless, but, I mean, in terms of his promos and things like that, selling matches, getting people invested in the feud. I mean, obviously MGF's playing his part as well, but this was a lot of fun. And obviously, you know, it's not over, and we're going to see more of it, which is cool. But what do you think of the match itself, Brett?
I feel like being a number of weeks behind on the weekly show that I may have not been invested in this as much as I would have been if I'd have seen all the story build up.
Yeah, okay. So the cage match and the lashings.
Yeah, so I'd still need to catch up on that stuff, which I am going to. So I think that might have lessened it a bit because I think MJF is a great character.
Yeah.
But these two together, it was in no way a bad match, a lot in it, but yeah, it didn't fly for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you on this one. Like, I didn't dislike the match. I just I didn't feel like maybe it lived up to the build-up that they gave it.
No, I
and
agree.
all the sort of outside interference from the two people wasn't like that. The two factions wasn't that interesting or new, or it was a little bit telegraphed, I guess, in that aspect. So yeah, for me, maybe this is the first fault in Cody's run so far.
I get a feeling it is. Yeah, I think it's sort of all. If you'd watched all that stuff, you'd undoubtedly be more invested.
Yeah, definitely. But also, I think the way it ended, that it's obviously just a midpoint and it's not the culmination.
No.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a much better match between these two guys ahead. But I haven't really seen that much MJF matches. Just a lot of his promo stuff, which is why I'm not so totally sold, on the full package of him yet.
Yeah.
Did some great cowardly stuff though with the old, the lashings in this match. Obviously, was a good callback, but also fucking hell, he was really going for it with that belt. And I enjoyed the fact the ref sort of allowed it after what Cody had been through. But then when MJF was like basically crying at his feet. And then it's just so cowardly, and then the hug, and then the spit. I thought was just brilliant character work.
Can I put one more thing into Room 101? I don't ever want to see someone bite someone's toe again.
Bit gross.
It's just not. I just don't like it.
My whole thought during that bit when the boot came off was, why doesn't Brandy just grab the boot and give it to him, and then he can put it back on?
Yeah, good point.
Unless it got chucked into the crowd or something. I didn't actually see where it went, but. One final thing I thought on this match was the ending. I thought it wasn't really that clear, the whole Dynamite Diamond Ring thing. And I definitely, the half of the crowd behind who won't have seen MJF put it into his pocket will have just been like, hold on, he's just won with a right hand. What's going on?
Yeah, it definitely took the replays after the match for me to, I saw him putting it back, so I figured, has he got a knuckle duster or something? And they were talking about this diamond ring afterwards, but in the replays you saw him take it out and put it in the corner and then hit it. But for a crowd there, you wouldn't see that.
Yeah.
While it's got to be hidden in air quotes from the ref and the opponent, the audience need to see it more clearly.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure there would have been a way that he could have made it more obvious. But it's just something that we're going to see more and more in highlights packages, and it will end up working as part of the long-term storyline, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, interesting to see where that goes. Next key match is the main event for the AEW Championship Max between Championship Max. Wow, they should bring a Championship Max belt. Just like
I quite like that.
Yeah. AEW Championship match. Do you think we'll ever do a pod where one of us doesn't say something wrong?
No, never.
I don't think that's possible, is it?
No. Especially with us, no.
Yeah, God. Jon Moxley versus Chris Jericho. Another brilliant feud, another brilliant build. Refreshing to see so many great storylines happening in one promotion at the same time. Thoughts on the entrances? Sam, I know you love Moxley's. You enjoy him coming from the outside?
Yeah, Moxley's was good, but I mean, oh God, I wish I had a choir singing my own music, as I came out anywhere.
I always wonder when they get a live band in to perform an entrance, what are those people thinking? Are they wrestling fans?
So it was, damn it, it was Cody also had that, sorry, just flying back, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Playing, and they really struggled with their song.
That was a bit awkward, really.
I was like, oh my God, this is bad.
I thought it looked like the kind of band that you'd be well into, Sam.
No, I think it was more just the case that I think in my head I was thinking everyone's going to sing along, and I don't think anyone actually knows the words to Cody's intro, so it kind of
Brandy
just fell a
certainly
little
did.
bit flat.
You heard Brandy singing along.
Yeah, that's kind of made it all the more
Bit
awkward.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed the build. Again, the VT package is reminding us of all of the different elements to this feud and how long it's been going along.
Yeah.
The match itself, I wasn't.
So it's good.
I wasn't that into it personally.
No,
No, not really. I just it was kind of a classic sort of slow Jericho nowadays pace, and I'm not against Jericho. I love him to bits. I think he's brilliant at what he does, but his actual matches, well, particularly this one, I just feel like it never really stepped up a gear.
Yeah, I'm not going to leave you massive pause for you there, Adam. I agree. Again, this was like, I enjoyed it. It wasn't like middle of the road. It was a good match, but it wasn't like, we'd had Kenny and Hangman Adam Page against Young Bucks. This just wasn't even close.
But in terms of the names involved, it is.
Yeah, no, and I'm a massive fan of both these guys as well.
yeah,
Love everything Moxley's done since leaving.
Yeah.
And Jericho, just character-wise, and he's put in enough in matches, but they're not like, anywhere near what he used to be capable of.
Yeah.
But so it is all on story with Jericho and character, which he is amazing at. I love the fact that he, rings the bell, says he's a winner.
Yeah. Middle finger with the camera, all that stuff.
Yeah, shouting Judas in my mind before he wants to go hit the Judas effect.
Yeah. What do you think, Sam?
I think it was an okay match. Like, it certainly wasn't the best, and I completely kind of agree on the sort of front that, like, kind of, I don't think you're ever going to get like a 5-star match out of Jericho
No.
at this point in his career. He is, like, nearly a 50-year-old man. So, kind of, I think they've done a really good job having him as champ for so long to kind of like establish the belt and get the thing going. And I think kind of now was the right time to move the title on to someone who can perhaps give a slightly more exciting match. I think this match had its good moments, and I think kind of they did well with the bits and pieces that they had. I like the power bomb through the timekeeper's table.
Yeah, that was nice. Such a small little table to do with a big old
and, like,
belt.
Say what you like about Jericho, but like he still smashes the Lion's Soul every single time.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah.
It's mad, really. I think kind of like, as well, he was sort of carried a little bit by having the inner circle there to kind of like break up the action and just kind of have that run interference. And yeah, I always love seeing a referee throw someone out of the match just because it's batshit insane and makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest pop of the whole match from the crowd, wasn't it? When Aubrey Edwards chucked all of the inner circle out. The thing is with that is that when they started interfering, I was like, oh, classic. And then actually I sort of checked myself and I was like, well, no, of course, they have to. They are a heel faction and of course they're going to do this. Obviously, the bit with Hager running down, he just looked stupid. I thought he just looks like a massive oaf. But I almost felt like it didn't seem like, even though it was supposed to build the story of Mox having to fight through adversity, it didn't seem like it was really that bad for Mox. I felt like the offence he was taking wasn't that bad.
Yeah, the payoff, considering he won in spite of all those interferences, is usually like a much bigger payoff, isn't it? Or it feels like it, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't have that feeling. Like,
I mean, I feel like kind of the story they were trying to tell was basically Mox was blind, but no, he wasn't, and kind of, I don't know if that really landed, just because I don't think anyone ever buyed the whole idea of him losing his sight in one eye.
I don't get it at all, because it's like, hey, look, I could see all along. It's like, well, no, you couldn't, because you had an eye patch on.
yeah, you were wrestling.
So you still had one eye.
Yeah,
the whole match.
like I'm just not quite sure it landed.
Yeah.
It's the same with the diamond ring all over again. Just kind of like, I understand the story they were trying to tell.
It would have made more sense for him to have come out to the ring and then in the first minute taken it off and go, you've prepared for a match against a sub-par Mox, but actually I'm 100%.
Yeah.
What do we think about the blood, that gash that he got above his eye? And then, I mean, when he did take the eye patch off, it was a bit weird the way a load of blood came out.
Yeah.
It was weird, that bit where he was on the floor and then he was like flicking it. Did you notice that?
I did notice there was one point where he was on the floor and he was okay. And then they cut to a shot of Jericho and they cut back to him, and all of a sudden he was covered in blood.
Yeah, that was at the table when he got put through the table.
But then they'd already seen, like, that was the weird thing, because they'd were talking about the blood.
Yeah.
Because the ref had obviously put the gloves on and saw the blood on the floor. But then they were talking about it being Moxley, but like above his eye, whatnot. And I was, like you say, he was on the table and I was like, I can't see any blood.
And then there was blood.
And then cut away, and then it was like, oh my God, there's loads of blood there.
I don't think that was supposed to happen.
No.
But it was weird because it had stopped bleeding, and then Aubrey Edwards was talking to him, and he was literally like flicking it, and then it started bleeding loads more. So very weird.
It's interesting. I think kind of, I don't think I'm interested in seeing a rematch or a continuation of this feud at this point. I'd like to see kind of like Jon Moxley maybe go on to defend against someone who can kind of maybe keep up with his pace a little bit more, whilst Jericho can perhaps, I don't know, work with putting over maybe some of the younger talent that's coming through.
It's going to build to, not necessarily next, but it's going to build to Moxley versus Omega, isn't it?
Eventually, yeah. But I mean, like, there are a lot of people who are kind of in the conversation there. So you got like obviously Omega and Pac, and there's probably a shout to say that Hangman and MJF are sort of like working their way up. You say that, but
no, it wouldn't be so weird. I mean, he'd be maybe sort of a, I was going to say like a time-killing option, but I don't guess really need that.
It's interesting. I think kind of AEW presents a lot of opportunity for anyone who kind of pushes the boundaries and gets over, really.
Yeah. So, do you think Jon Moxley is the kind of character, the way they built him up? Do you think he's the kind of guy who would, at the end of a match, stick on a T-shirt that says "I was there" with his name already on the belt, clearly trying to get all the fans who are leaving the arena to spend money on it?
I think he is that kind of man.
I just think, in reality, if they're true to his character, he'd be like, "Fuck off! I'm not putting that T-shirt on." Cool souvenir to have, though. I definitely would have bought one. When you're sort of hyped up in the middle of the event, the hype of everything happening.
You love an event T-shirt, though. You've got that Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens one, haven't you?
That's a good T-shirt. That's not from an event.
Well,
that says Fight Forever. I know we now realise why you hate it so much. You want to put my T-shirt in Room 101. That is a good T-shirt.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
Decent match, enjoyable. I'm happy that Moxley won it. I can't wait to see what they do next.
Perfect. Okay, so that's the 3 key matches, and now we're going to do best of the rest. And I think I'm going to pick it first because I think we might all agree, but I'll see.
It's one of 2 matches here.
Yeah. Well, let's just have some fun because I was extremely excited about Pac versus Orange Cassidy.
There we go.
Because it's the kind of match you'd usually see like booked at Joey Janela's spring break or some like weird indie show over WrestleMania weekend. Something like you would never see on a main roster, on a pay-per-view of a big promotion.
Yeah.
Because it's just sort of comedy and silly. But oh my God, it was fucking great. I was so pumped and it really delivered, I thought.
It is fascinating to see what the limit is for Orange Cassidy because you watch a comedy wrestler and you think, that's kind of, it's got its place in wrestling, but it's never going to be, kind of like near the top of the card or anything like that.
Mm.
And it seems to me like he's kind of taken that gimmick and he's got the comedy element to it, but he is a legit wrestler as well.
He can wrestle.
Yeah. Doing the stuff he does with his hands in his pockets, you know he's got to be great.
Mm.
Yeah, the amount of work that must go into being able to do that, like the strength and the technique and everything.
He's just he's got that gimmick absolutely down. I absolutely love the point in the match where he was just rolling from side to side. And eventually he just cuts into his face and he's smiling.
Yeah, and then he just springs into life. I love that.
And the thing in this match as well is like Pac and his character is just the perfect opposite, isn't it?
He plays such a great foil to the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's great that he's just playing into it at the beginning as well with the little kicks and stuff. It rather than like being, the beast from the get-go, he was like, all right, I'll play your game. It was really good. Really
it's phenomenal. It's so funny and so different. And the whole he's going to try. We think he's going to try. And then he does.
It's mad. I think kind of like out of everyone in AEW, I don't think anyone has kind of benefited more than Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Since his debut.
I just love the variety they've got on their roster. It's insane, the variety
It
they've
is.
got.
But, like, this goes back to, like, New Japan stuff. Like, when they have, I mean, usually it's in an earlier tag match in one of their big shows, like pay-per-view equivalent. But, like, they do have a comedy match in there. And the thing with comedy matches is they don't have to stay just silly throughout. They often have like silly fun stuff, but then there's great wrestling in there, and you get a really satisfying outcome.
Yeah,
absolutely.
At the end, and this is what AEW, I think, here, was a real attempt to do, and they nailed it.
I absolutely love AEW for this. Is that they kind of, for them, the gimmick isn't dead. Like, you've got a dinosaur, an alien, and a sloth, and it's just like, okay, cool. Look, we all know wrestling is, scripted fighting. That's fine. Just have some fun with it, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Lean right into it. Don't try and make it something, something else.
This would be a perfect match to show somebody who doesn't know about wrestling or doesn't understand wrestling, because it has comedy, and you can be like, look, we acknowledge this isn't real. This is just silly, but it also has the techers in there as well, like the real amazing spots as well.
I think the thing is as well, and I'm watching this, is I'm just wondering, who do I want to see Orange Cassidy wrestle? Like, kind of, part of me is like, I'd love to see him wrestle a Toru Yano, just kind of have that back and forth comedy. And then part of me is like, I'd love to see him wrestle a Minoru Suzuki or a Paul Robinson or...
Surely if he's going to wrestle anyone from New Japan, it's going to be Juice Robinson.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks, guys.
Nice.
Yes.
Shall we move on?
Back at it. Yeah, we will. Although, one shout for the crowd. This is awesome. Fight Forever shouts. Enjoyed those chants.
Yeah, but it's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's ironic
Yeah.
chanting.
Next best of the rest. Sam or Brett, have you got a shout for another one you want to mention?
Let's go with Darby Allin Guevara.
Yes. Good
I was
choice.
going to go for that as well.
Yeah. Why, Brett? Why did you like it?
I think this should have been the opener match.
Okay.
Agreed.
Instead of Dustin and Hager. Just because, like, it was a match that started off full pace.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't two guys slowly, having a decent match, but a slow one. And they are two, like, definitely top talents.
Yeah.
Up and coming top talents. Like, they're both young guys. They're both obviously supremely gifted, and they really put on a show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Watching these two wrestle very much remind me of, like, kind of what the upper card of NXT are doing, where you've got these kind of, like, smaller, lighter weight wrestlers who are just kind of top tier talent. And to me, kind of like, this really leans into what AEW, I think, should do, which is get a secondary title in there. Because the thing is, with both Darby Allin and Guevara, is perhaps they're not, at the Omega Pack level yet.
Yeah. Very true.
But, like, like, to have a title to fight over would be a big benefit to that kind of part of the story.
Yeah, I totally agree.
In all
that.
honesty, they're probably years away from like that, as you say, and there's no shame in that. They're young guys. It takes time to build and get to that sort of level.
Sammy is 26 and Darby's 27, so they've got at least a decade at the top ahead of them, which is really exciting. You think about the matches they'll keep having together.
Are you excited at all for the prospect that, like, these guys, some of them are eventually going to leave AEW, and we're going to be watching, like, a WWE event, like an NXT or something, and it's going to be like, oh my god, that's Darby Allin, and just kind of what that's going to be like. Isn't that weird?
When it'd be like, oh my god, that's, I don't know, Trevor.
Trevor.
That's Alan Darby.
Yeah, something like that.
Trevor. If they rebrand Darby Allin
something
as
that
Trevor,
they can
I'm in.
Trademark.
I know. I love it. Trevor.
Who's that in NXT? Is that Darby Hawks?
There you go. That's it.
No, it'd be Trevor, and then 6 months later it would just be Trev. Perfect.
But, like, seriously though, like, kind of, I think that's a sort of exciting prospect in a weird way. I know, kind of, like, a lot of people don't think about the idea of wrestlers going from AEW to WWE, but, like,
that is
I was
weird.
just thinking back the other day about, like, how cool it was when AJ Styles rocked up at the Rumble, and we're building up a lot of stars in AEW, which...
I know, but do you think many of them are like, oh, come on, I'll just do a few more years here and then I'll get into WWE?
I think maybe.
Yeah, I think there probably
if the opportunity's there.
Maybe some of the younger kids, I suppose. I mean, the good thing, Sammy and Darby can do 10 more years at AEW, and then hopefully Vince will be gone, and then they can go and have a decent career. But they're both very small, so they're not going to go and... I mean, look what happened with Ricochet. Over the
True,
last week.
but we also we need to see AEW have a bit more time to see exactly what they do with these guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm talking years and years down the line.
But they might legitimately not do, the same thing, and you might have the same people, and there's just no room for them to progress. So they might think, right, I'm going to try something else.
I think eventually it's going to happen, and when you look at the kind of up-and-coming stars that are being developed through AEW, like these guys, and perhaps being developed through AEW is harsh. They've obviously got kind of indie careers as well, but they're coming to the main stage on AEW for an international audience.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
It is. We shall see. But yeah, really innovative match. Great to have a fast start. As I said, I'm always annoyed when matches just start so slowly. So yeah, that was really great, and I love the fact that so much of it happened before the bell. We had that 6:30 senton onto the table
that was
before the bell had even gone.
Yeah,
astonishing.
And then though that massive coffin drop,
beautiful
at the end.
I love
just
the coffin drop.
Great.
It's such a great finish.
I was really unsure of Darby Allin, because I know he'd got obviously some hype on the indies and people were really excited about him, but I wasn't so sure what to expect, to be honest, and I wasn't totally on board straight away. But having seen some of his more recent stuff on AEW and then this, I was like, yeah, he's definitely a talent.
I'm a huge fan. I know he's the kind of wrestler who, if I was watching him 15 years ago and I was still 15, he would have easily been my favourite wrestler by a mile.
Yeah, and he'd inspire you potentially to want to try and do some of that stuff, I reckon.
Maybe.
Might be a few skaters who are out there being oh my god, this guy's the best.
That suicide dive as well, where he caught his leg, that looked... I like, again, the fact that the commentary, they didn't shy away from, the
fact that he caught his foot on the rope and
that's
too short.
That's a good point. I made a note of that as well. It's not often, you'll never see in WWE comms calling out a botch.
Yeah.
Ever.
No. But, that happens, and, then at that point, the other person can get an upper hand. So, it's legitimate to call it out, which, you sort of don't think, but when they did it, it was that makes sense. Why not just call it out?
Usually, you'd get Michael Cole going, oh, he's perfect suicide dive, he smashed him right in the face. And you're like, no, he didn't. We've all just seen what actually happened, you idiot.
The closest you'll get to WWE is, he didn't catch all of it, and it's he didn't catch any of it.
Okay, any more best of the rest? I mean, I don't know if there's anything... hold on. How many more matches are there to talk about?
You've got Hager Rhodes, Nyla Rose, Statlander.
That's it, isn't it?
And, I think that's it.
Okay, well, I don't think either of those fall into best of the rest. Should we talk about worst of the rest? I mean... should we talk about Dustin versus Jake briefly? Let's try and keep it brief. Because for me, this falls in a
worst of the rest way?
No, this is
best of the rest.
For me, it's kind of in the middle.
I was going to say, this is kind of like beige of the West, isn't it? It's kind of...
Yeah.
It was okay.
It was okay. I mean, let's just say a couple of really quick things. Not a fan of public displays of affection, okay? Snogging somebody in front of loads of people is weird, in my opinion. Big fan of the I'm Here to Fight Jericho's bitch t-shirt. And then enjoyed the payoff with Hager's wife when Dustin kissed her.
Now I thought that was really weird.
I just thought it was great for him. That's the kind of thing that he would do. Kind of links back to his gold dust kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think kind of maybe someone forcibly kissing someone else is
big fan of that.
Always a bit strange.
I don't like genuine affection. Like I say, I don't like public displays of affection. I like public displays of assault. Yeah, that's my kind of PDA. I also like that Hager uses the Vader bomb, but that's the only thing I like about him.
I think Hager's a decent wrestler. I like him.
Yeah, this in no way was a bad match.
No.
It was just, I just don't think it was the opening match. It would have done better
same.
the second match, where you've had all that pace and now, see some guys slow it down but still do some great wrestling.
Do we need to spare a moment for poor Dustin Rhodes, who left his job in WWE to come to AEW, where he's now jobbing to everyone?
But it's more prominent. He's definitely more involved.
He is.
Yeah. It's on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. That was a huge upgrade. Okay.
Push Dustin, you cowards.
Yeah. Worst of the rest. We've done a lot of talking tonight about AEW and the things they've been doing and how well they're booking people and the great roster they've got. They're not doing a good job, in my opinion, of booking this women's division, are they? It's just not that engaging. Obviously, this match came after the best tag team match of this year, but still.
Yeah, I think, I actually didn't mind this match at all. I think it suffered for coming after that match massively because there was so much pace in the match before. And I think actually when you look at everything that was going on in that match, there was a lot of really good stuff. And I hadn't seen that Statlander, is that her name?
Yeah.
Before, but she had some decent sequences and some big moves in that match that you don't often see in women's matches.
The handstand walk was pretty mad.
Yeah, but they just didn't have any pace to it. That was the problem. There was stuff in there, but it was slower.
I am not a big fan of the AEW women's division as it stands at the moment. I think it is getting better. I think, unfortunately, this is something that WWE have done so well in the last 5 years that it's going to be hard to come up with anything to kind of fight that in such a short amount of time. Like, for as much problems as there are with WWE, their women's division is, well, not only the best in the world, but it's some of the best wrestling in the world. Like,
and it's
gender,
stacked.
regardless.
Like, they booked up so many people. Let's face it. With their Mae Young Classics and stuff, they signed so many different contracts, and obviously there are fewer female wrestlers to choose from because they're not getting the opportunities, and so it was always harder. And I think that's obviously why Kenny Omega ended up picking a load of people out from Japan, and that's sort of been his plaything, which kind of hasn't really worked so far. The people he picked, I'd argue,
no, it hasn't. I think kind of they need more time just to kind of get their feet under the table and just develop the division a bit more. I mean, like, without trying to sound too dismissive of it, like, we don't know a lot about women's indie wrestling as much as we know about, like, the men's indie wrestling. It comes across when we're doing the draft. And so kind of like part of it is that if there's not as much kind of like talent out there that is well known to pick from or kind of like develop, they've got to build it up from nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I've always just felt bad when you've got a silent crowd and then one of the first things that happens in the match is a failed kip up.
Yeah.
That's not going to help. But yeah, I agree. Slow, flat, not awful, but definitely the worst match on the card.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, I think overall it sounds as if we definitely enjoyed it. Star performer time. If we had to pick out one,
I've got a worst of the rest.
You got another worst of the rest. Sorry,
just pick your own and don't give us a chance.
Because there are no more matches. But it's just a general thought, is it?
It's a general worst. It doesn't have to be a match.
I know, Brett. I've forgotten the format. I'm all over the place.
It's that 100. It's thrown you.
It's all that branding.
Too high from it.
Yeah.
No, my worst of the rest was just going to be the fact that when they were signing all this talent, there was a big thing about things being different in AEW, and this pay-per-view was very white.
Yeah.
There wasn't much difference in there apart from Nyla Rose.
Very white, very American. Or Canadian.
No, so she's First Nation, like Native Indian, I think, Canadian. So,
but everyone else.
But everyone else, American or Canadian, and the only other part was Mexican guys, but they were at the side in matches. They weren't in the matches. Yeah. And I just thought, all those thingies, they've got a lot of talent. I just think, come on.
What's going on with Private Party? I
don't know. Well, I mean, the thing is, they're obviously also great because, some of their stuff on Dynamite is just...
We might be
super talented as well.
We're not fully up to date. They could well just be injured or whatever. But, very good point, Brett.
I just think, like, going forward, like, yes, they've got their weekly show, but the pay-per-views need to show all
more representation in wrestling.
Yeah, because they're super talented out there. Like, there are matches that could have been replaced in this with that. So
more representation, as you say, and more diversity is required in wrestling. And that is the review from three white guys. Hope everybody enjoyed it.
I'm mixed race.
Oh yeah, you are, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this
we've
good
just,
chat for
we've
the pod?
just whitewashed you, Sam.
Anyway, so we are in dangerous waters, so let's quickly move away from all of that chat, although Brett's point is obviously very valid and important, to the star performer. Who was it? Who are we going to point out as our VIP? Sam?
Cowboy shit, it's Hangman Adam Page.
Yes. Brett?
I'm going to go cowboy shit as well, but a special nod to Nick Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go for Orange Cassidy. I think the ones that you've mentioned probably deserve it more, but just to chuck in another name there, because he brought it and he did try.
He did try,
and he looks like, oh my god, the bit where he was like literally like flying all over the place, and then he does the kip up, and I can't remember exactly what the sequence was, but then when he turns and just stares, and he looked like he wasn't out of breath.
Camera.
Yeah, the card camera bit. It looked like he just wasn't out of breath. And he just looks so cool. So cool. So yeah, he's mine. Overall rank time, giving the pay-per-view a score out of 10 and then working out the average. Let's do it. I'm going to open up the spreadsheet while I do that. Brett, have you got your number ready, would you say?
Yeah. I'm going to go with a 7.
Ooh, okay.
Which is pretty low for this.
Pretty low,
because there was decent matches. There was one amazing match. But yeah,
too white for you?
Not anywhere. No, it's just not anywhere near as good whole shows as I think they've put on before.
Okay, fair. Sam?
So yeah, I've gone for 8.25. I think kind of like, to be honest, the one amazing match has definitely pulled it up a point for me. Like, I think it was a 7 out of 10 pay-per-view with one amazing, really good match on it.
Okay. I'm going to go for an 8. Because, one absolutely amazing match. And then, I mean, the pack, Orange Cassidy, will live long in the memory. That match was so much fun. But the main event didn't sort of hit the heights I expected. So
that's a 7.75 overall.
7.75, matching this year's Royal Rumble.
What? That's mad, really?
Yeah. Coming in just above WrestleMania 8 and just below Hell in a Cell 2018.
I don't often call out our scoring, but we maybe need to look at this.
Okay, do you want to change what you've just given it?
No.
No.
Longer discussion at another point in time.
Okay, fine. To be honest, you suggesting that we need to think about how we do our scoring is quite funny, considering as I look at this spreadsheet, you've scored things 2 and 10. In fact,
I'm a man of extremes.
Yeah, you really are. Okay, so 7.75. Yeah, that's pretty damn decent, really.
That sounds about right, to be fair.
Yeah, I reckon, because John's always quite enthusiastic, I reckon he would have given it like an 8.5 or something. We will never know unless he comes back next week and tells us. Okay, let's have a quick break and then let's wrap things up.
Looking for fear factor, that packet pile driver on the apron. Penta, oh no! He nailed it! And Omega's down, and he might be out!
I've got some ideas for my Young Bucks podcast, my late night Young Bucks podcast. Do you want to hear them?
Okay.
All right, we've got Late Night with the Bucks.
Well, that's ingenious.
No? Okay, it's the first one. I'm up all night to get Bucky.
Nice. Very good. Much better than the first one.
Stuck in the Bucks.
Oh, this is like when I do my pun matches. You've peaked too soon.
Yeah.
Oh, the Bucks stop with Sam.
I quite like that. They could come over for a sleepover and you record a show. And
so there we go. Some
okay.
Late night Young Bucks podcast ideas for us to discuss.
Very good. Excellent. So that is it for this podcast. We're keeping it fairly brief for us. No listener comments because we just thought let's give the listeners a little break as well, and we kind of forgot to do it. No Five Forever, no Hardest Question of the Week, no extra segments. But we will be back next week with our Elimination Chamber review, which should be interesting. Feels like it's been a long time since we talked about WWE.
It does, yeah.
Weird,
when was the last WWE podcast? Was it? Was it Royal Rumble?
Yeah, because we had Takeover, didn't we?
Oh yeah, I suppose, yeah.
But yeah, the actual main roster, the last one was the Rumble. A lot has happened since then, so no doubt we'll be talking about some of the stuff that's happened overseas. Some interesting decisions. But then after Elimination Chamber, we've got some fun stuff. Obviously, we're approaching WrestleMania, so we have our draft scores. We're going to need to do that. We're going to need to score all the wrestlers we picked for the 2019-2020
already
wrestling year, yeah. And then obviously we'll be doing a brand new draft after WrestleMania. We've got the spring quiz coming up. It should be in a few weeks, or maybe in April. Who knows? But yeah,
probably April.
Loads of fun stuff coming up. Yeah, Sam, you're hosting that one.
Yeah. April.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're approaching the end of the wrestling year.
Exactly. The hardest part of the ring, wrestling year. Yeah, exciting times. Anyway, let's call it. Brett, do your thing.
Send your emails to hardestpartofthering@gmail.com. Get us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. We are at hardestpartpod.
Thank you very much for listening, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the start of our second centenary. Second 100. Second batch of 100.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll go with
all
that.
of them.
Catchy. Second batch of 100. Yeah. And we will be back next week. And until then, it's goodbye from me, Adam. Goodbye, Sam.
See you later, dude.
Goodbye, Brett.
Bye.
That was the hardest part of the ring.
That is the hardest part of that ring.